Hey ho, welcome back to the Conscious H.O.E podcast. It's your host Yolanda, and I am doing this live. So I'm streaming this on Instagram and I'm recording it because eventually at some point I guess I should be putting this shit on YouTube. Who knows? But welcome back. And if you're new here, I want to let you know what H.O.E stands for because H.O.E is not derogatory. It's not used in a derogatory way. And actually, I use it as a way of empowering women. A hoe to me is a woman that is honing and owning her empowerment. A woman that is taking radical ownership of her life and creating a life that she wants and calling the shots and not settling for anything less than a fuck yes in life. And I have gotten myself to this point after being burnt out in a career and wanting something more. I have gotten myself to this point in my relationship, my love life, my romance, what it was that I wanted. I ended a 6-year relationship that was good, but I felt like there was something great. And so I left to discover that. And we are always potentially tapping more and more into our power when we are very intentional about how we show up and really having clarity on what it is that we desire in our lives. And so today I want to talk to you about setting standards, specifically when it comes to dating. Now, this can also go for friends, just relationships in general. You can set standards and boundaries when it comes to speaking to your parents, to your peers, to your coworkers. But I want to talk to you specifically about this in dating. And I realized this a while back as I was dating that I was really settling for the bare minimum and being excited behind the bare minimum. And if you're someone that is single and dating, you know that it can be a bit of a shit show with these apps and people ghosting, not using their words, not being great communicators. And as I was really looking at what was happening and just the way that I would give people second, third, fourth chances, it's kind of like one of those things when people show you their true colors, accept it, right? Because the person that you really want to show up and be around is someone that is authentically themselves from the jump start. I don't want to go on a date and be meeting this interview version of someone. And I think that men and women can sometimes be showing up in these situations or dates as the person that we think that that person wants to see, and then as time goes on really showing them who we are. And my encouragement for you is to show up as the person that you are. I fucking cuss a lot. Guess what? When I'm on a date, I'm really not going to censor myself that much, because if I have to end up censoring myself down the road, why would I do that? If it's going to turn somebody off, the F word is one of my favorite words. Why would I censor myself and take time where I have to basically shove myself in a box and not be the person that I want to be? So I encourage you to think about who is it that you are and how do you want to show up on dates? And how are you going to show up in a month from now, in 2 months from now, in 3 months from now? Because if you can't show up how you're going to show up 3 months from now on date one, you are wasting your time and you're also wasting the other person's time. So really take a good look and just think about how is it that you show up. You guys, I literally will go out on dates and be relaxed. Like I'm not, because that's just how I am, right? I go on dates and my typical standard dating uniform is always going to be that I am in a crop top, because 9 times out of 10, I'm in a crop top in my real life. And I can still go out to a nice fancy place and be dressed up and be cute. You guys can look at some of my dating outfits if you need inspiration. And it still will turn heads, but I am still showing up as myself. And if you have anxiety around going out on dates, I used to get a little anxious about dating too, but why? Why are you nervous to meet someone? And I believe that we get nervous or have this anxiety about it. One, we don't feel like that we can be ourselves. Something within you thinks that you cannot show up and show the world, hey, this is me. And also, hey, this is me, and I'm a person that is on my radical journey of self development and self growth, and that's who I am. And you get to take me for who I am today, and maybe it's great for you, and maybe it's not. And guess what? I have no attachment to that person and their perception of me. I just get to show up. And so that is one thing that I really want you to try on, is to think about when you go out of your door to go on a date, as you exit the Uber that you might be in to go on a date, you think about, who are you showing up as? And you take a deep breath and you walk in there like the bad, confident bitch that you are. And even if you don't feel that way, the person that you want to be is confident, right? Nobody wants to be like meek. No. So you have to be working on your confidence and showing up as is always. Okay? 100%. You just have to embody that. So when you think about, like, maybe you're nervous on the first date, just be like, how would Yolanda act? And I promise you that you're going to be on better behavior than I would be. Okay? So that is one way to really think about reducing dating anxiety if you get it. And the other thing that I just want to kind of mention about is that sometimes I believe that we can be sitting across from a person and have all these expectations. And in my dating, very early on, I came up with this motto, not a motto, like I didn't come up with it, but I would always just say, no rules, no expectations. And I even tattooed it. The no rules were because, hey, if I went to sleep with somebody on the first date, I was going to do that and I wasn't going to judge myself. And also, being a hoe, a woman honing and owning her empowerment, I also was assuming full responsibility, taking full ownership of any consequences that might come about with sleeping with someone the first date, right? Sometimes you might sleep with men and they don't talk to you ever again. Ooh, okay, guess what? If I'm putting myself out there and doing that, I better be okay with that, because I am doing the O in hoe, and that is owning the actions that I take and also owning the consequences that come about it, right? Having to go get tested and doing those things and being really responsible. So that's where kind of the no rules came. Okay. I love making out on a first date. I think that you should make out on a first date personally. Do you have to fuck on the first date? Maybe not. But making out, like, you kind of want to know if somebody's going to be a great kisser. And some people fucking suck at kissing. And I think that you should get to know that, like, up front. I don't think you need to, like, whatever. I legit will be at a bar and I'll look at a guy, and maybe I'm not drinking right now, but there's a bar that I like to go to, and usually when I go, I have more than a few drinks. And I would just look at a man and be like, hey, I really want to kiss you. Can I kiss you? And just asking for consent. And I think consent is so fucking sexy. And if you're a man that's listening to this, you should be a gentleman and ask for consent when it comes to doing anything in, like, invading someone's personal space. Going in for a kiss is invading someone's space. Ask before, okay? Because then you don't have to be all like embarrassed and shy about, like, what if the person doesn't want to kiss you? Now, I'm fucking confident, and I don't know. I feel like all the men want to make out with me, so that's just like my vibe, but I still do ask for that consent. So just get in the habit of that. I don't know why I went off on that tangent about kissing. But also, the other thing I feel that a lot of us will make the mistake of when we are dating is, again, when we're sitting across from this person, instead of just the face value of, hey, I'm here, I'm excited to get to know you, let's vibe out and just have a good time with no expectations. So, oh, that's where the no rules, no expectations. So, no expectations of what comes about this. If we have a great time, amazing. That actually doesn't say anything about me or you, except for, hey, our energy was great and we vibe together. If we don't have a great time together, that is not on me or you. Just our energy maybe wasn't great and we didn't vibe. And also, if that date wasn't amazing to the point, you're not going to waste time being like, oh, well, maybe I should try again. No, you're going to shake hands and be like, hey, it was really great to meet you. And then the next day, you're going to slide in this person's message, DMs, wherever you are, and say and use your words and not be a bitch that ghosts, because a hoe is in her power and she knows how to use her words. She's going to tell this man, hey, it was really great meeting you last night, and I enjoyed myself. Thank you for doing whatever it was that y'all did together. And I just want to say that I really don't have an interest in pursuing this any further, and I wish you the best of luck. Or whatever it might be. Be open, be honest. Men are either going to do one or two things with this. They're either going to appreciate you. I've had men be like, hey, thank you so much, because now at least I know where I stand. Or they're going to go fucking cry and pout. And again, you are not attached to the outcome of their reaction. Okay. That is power. That is managing your energy. That is part of being a hoe. Okay, so no rules, no expectations is kind of my thing. And I think that we can go on dates and you're sitting across from this person and you're putting all this pressure on the both of you instead of showing up and having fun. All this pressure in, oh my gosh, this might be my boyfriend. Oh my gosh, am I gonna have sex with this person? Oh my gosh, am I gonna do X, Y, whatever? And you're not in the present. You're already thinking second date, third date, fourth date, your wedding. Why? Why? Why aren't you just thinking about, hey, we're going to have this meal. Hey, we're going to have this drink. Hey, I'm going to ask you some questions. Hopefully, they ask you some questions, and we are going to get to know each other. Allow yourself to sink in the present moment. And oftentimes, we have to remind ourselves to be in that present moment when it comes to dating. Okay. So that's just like a long winded preface that one, if you have dating anxiety, start showing up as yourself. And then two, that you follow this motto of no rules, no expectations. Stop putting all this pressure on people from day one and just start by being in the moment. And I guarantee you that if you can learn how to do this and not have all this pressure on people, you're going to have so much more fun on dates. Now, let's shift this bus. Like, let's steer the wheel. And I want to talk to you about standards, because it can be really easy to allow your standards and your boundaries to wax and wane when you aren't necessarily confident in yourself, when you might be a little bit desperate, or when you're chasing something or someone that's not even worth it to you. And I've had this, like, honestly, for a lot of the dating season that I've been in. And I got to a point where, again, ownership, evaluation, self reflection, I really started seeing and kind of being turned off by things that men would do. So one of which would be, and this was a guy that I really liked, and we hung out many times, but he would say, "Hey, let's hang out on Wednesday." Okay, cool. But he would never set an actual time, date, plan. And I just was like excited that he wanted to hang out with me. But then I'm like, why aren't you planning something? I want to be with somebody that plans things. And I was just like, okay, that's interesting. Anything that you get annoyed by, start getting curious about it. Because if you're annoyed by it, one, it's that you haven't set the tone with the person, or two, maybe you have this standard, this person isn't living up to it, and for whatever reason, you are allowing flexibility on your standards and your boundaries. And when it comes to this, what I would encourage you to do when you get to set your standards, many of us will think that we are too much for men, or that the things that we desire are too much for someone to provide for us or to meet us halfway with your needs. And I'm gonna just call bullshit on that. Stop being the girl that's like, go with the flow and so cool, and be the girl that actually shows up and knows what the fuck she wants. So as I was having this like annoyed period with this guy, I took and did some self-reflection, and I'm just going to share this with you. And I asked myself the question, what are my bare minimums? And I want you to ask yourself that same question. What are your bare minimums? And that being the standard that you hold a man to in order to allow him access to your time, your energy, your attention, and dare I say it, your body, or your PUSSY, maybe your butthole. And I can't put that, I don't know if I can really say that on Instagram, but whoops, here we are. And then really reflecting, are you giving up any of these things for less than what your standards are? Are you sleeping with someone and they're not dating you or courting you in the way that you desire? Are you bending over backwards and rearranging your schedule for someone that isn't even setting a solid time and date and plan with you? Okay. And it can get really uncomfortable when you start to dig in and look at yourself in this way, but that is being a hoe. honing and owning empowerment. So as I reflected back, I was giving these things away for very little effort on a man's part. And I made a list, and there's probably about 20 things on here, and I'm just going to put it out here. Any man, I always tell them on dating apps, I'm like, don't follow me, but you can slide in my DMs because I don't know, my content might be really triggering, or they could listen to this shit and then be like, show up like how I want to. But you're always going to be able to use your discernment in that way. So the bare minimums or the standards that these things do not excite me if a man does them. They are the things in which this is my standard. This is how I choose to be treated and courted in a dating situation. And ultimately, for anyone, again, that's going to get time, energy, attention, and then potentially my body, my portal, all of this. And we know it's fucking great. And that is what you have to learn about yourself, right? Dating is only going to be as great as you are. Because when you have done the work and you're like, I'm great and I'm still working on being better all the time, this shit is not going to affect you. You're not going to be like sad girl pity party all the time. You're going to be like, oh, well, you know what? That's on that, bro. So my bare minimums. These are things I no longer am excited if a man tells me about himself or these actions that he showed. One, holds doors for me. Duh. Two, opens those doors. You'd be surprised. Three, pulls out chairs. Now, this is something I feel that older guys will do, or men that are a bit older, but I've had men in their 30s do this. I don't know if the 20s are doing it. I've only ever been on a date with two 29-year-olds, one of which we stood up the whole time. Another, I was already seated when he got to the place. So, yeah, I don't know. But if there's an opportunity for a man to pull out my chair, that's fucking hot. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay? He pays for everything on first date. I don't care. I need to go back and actually tell the story about the feminist. That's going to be such a good episode for a podcast. He is in consistent and predictable communication. So there is none of this like, oh, I wonder if he's going to text me. Oh, I haven't talked to him in a week. And like now here he is all of a sudden. No, I don't have time for that, because someone's communication style in the beginning is most likely how they're also going to communicate with you 1 month, 2 month, 3 month in. We have to start looking at these little signs that these men literally will give to us. But oftentimes we're just like, that's okay. Like, you must have been so busy. And we make these excuses. I don't have time for that, and neither do you. So, consistent and predictable communication. They're open to the idea of a long term relationship. I am not on dating apps just to fuck, okay? I'm on dating apps to find someone that I can vibe with, that is chill, that eventually maybe we can go to Whole Foods and have fun together. They are also fit. I don't have time for a man that is not taking care of himself. That is highly unattractive to me personally, anyway. There's somebody that likes adventure, they're open minded, and guess what? They are into tools, or at least have an open mind to them, because that is a part of my life. And I don't want to be in, if you don't know, tools are the D word, okay? And I do not just do the D word for recreation. I do it for expansion. And so I want to be or around people that are also in that expansive mindset, or at least open to having those experiences. And I've been on dates with men that are very like closed minded to that. And it's not my job to pull them up to where I am. It's just my job to put it on the table and say, hey, is this something that you're open to? And I kind of will vet people very quickly. You can find out many things very quickly about people when you ask the right questions. And you're just open and you are yourself. So I also bare minimum that they're fun, that they want me to be, I don't even know what that says. Oh, someone that wants me to be my best. So if I present to a man, and obviously this isn't going to be the first date, this might be the third date, fourth date, fifth date, and I say, I've been really wanting to do this podcast. And I had one man say, he was like, oh, well, like, what's stopping you? What things do you need to put into place to make that happen. And it was just like this weird accountability. And I really appreciated and respected him for that, because ultimately, the person that you are going to want to be spending time, energy, and attention, and again, potentially giving your body to, is someone that wants you to be your best fucking self. I'm into growth. If I'm with a man that's not into growth, it's highly unsexy to me. It's unsexy as fuck. My bare minimum, they like to give gifts. Have I had a man gift me outside of like paying for dinner? And the answer is yes. I once went on a date. I don't know if I've told this story openly, but I went on a date and the guy, we went for drinks and we had kind of openly talked about he was into the rave scene. And he said, we're standing at the bar ordering drinks and he goes, "Hey, open your bag. I have a gift for you." And I don't know if this is going to be weird, but I brought you something. And it was ketamine. So he throws this ketamine that's kind of not like, technically I'm not promoting the use of illicit drugs or any substances like that, but it was his little token of like, hey, it's cool to meet you. And he gave me that gift. But yeah, I haven't had anybody gift me anything. I did fly to Dallas once to meet a guy that I connected with when he was here in Austin, and he paid for my plane ticket. So maybe you consider that a gift. But other than that, I haven't had anyone give me things. But one of my love languages is receiving gifts. I love to be surprised. I love to be thought about. Men on my OF, my spicy link, I have to say that for Instagram. But men that are on my spicy link, they send me gifts from my Amazon wish list. Actually, I should have stuff coming to my door at any moment. And that is really cool and it's great and I love it. I love to be showered. I love to be spoiled. And while that's not a requirement, I do want someone that's open and wanting to surprise me and make me feel like a fucking badass bitch that I am. This person is willing to surprise me was another of my bare minimums, that they show me new things and experiences. So someone that is willing to not just sit on the couch, that they're not just open to every date being drinks or dinner. Someone that has some creativity is really important to me. And most men, and I have noticed this about myself, are just like, hey, let's do dinner. Hey, let's do drinks. And it's just kind of like, okay, great. That's awesome. And also, why don't we go do something else? One of my most fun dates, which was the suggestion of myself, was building a Lego set with this guy. So freaking cool. Highly recommend that you just do things outside of the box. And I recently went on a date with someone and they said, because I'm sober right now, I'm not drinking right now, I'm not doing any tools. And I have had men kind of be put off by the fact that I'm not drinking. They are not creative enough to get out of the default of drinks or the default of dinner and find something that we could do sober and have fun. Things like you could go putt golf, you could go to this thing called Wonder Space if that's here, and it's this, like art exhibit. There are many things that you can do, but someone that just is going to stay in this box of like, let's drink, let's eat. No, I don't have time for that. So my standard is someone that is going to be creative and spontaneous in ways that is exciting and it's different, because when you also, men listening to this, if you do something for a woman that she's never done, you give her an experience or an opportunity that's like, whoa, that's really cool. She is going to remember you. You are going to be far more memorable and potentially her being way more into you by having these experiences that are just different. You're going to stick out from the rest. So bring your personality, bring the experience, and I guarantee you, you're going to win. We actually are not as complicated as people believe us to be. It just is, people don't put the effort. And then it makes us seem like raging bitches. Anyway, someone that is willing to get on camera and do TikToks with me and reels. And someone that is okay with the fact that I know I have a message and I use social media as a means to share that message. I talk to a lot of men that are like, well, I'm not on social media, or men will have in their profiles, I don't want to follow you I don't want y'all fuckers to follow me. Like, if you are interested in me romantically, do not fucking follow me. Let there be some mystery to you getting to know me, because it can get really easy to go through 2,600 posts or however many I have on here. And I don't know, like, have you ever actually scrolled all the way back on anyone's Instagram? Because I have. And so if you look at that, you are essentially painting this picture of who I am versus the, hey, let's have a phone call, or hey, let's go out and actually get to know one another outside of this social media space, right? Now, what I do encourage men to do, if you are interested in a woman, slide into their DMs. Women, we can also be sliding into men's DMs, but you have to slide into the DMs the correct way. And I'll have to do a separate podcast on that, because there is a way to get someone's attention. And even if they don't actually find you attractive, there are certain things that you can do that I'm more likely to respond to. There is a method. And this just happened very recently where this guy was, I like looked at his Instagram, was like, eh. And then when the questions that he was asking me, I'm like, wow, like you just really want to get to know me. I'm open. I will have this conversation for you. And then, sometimes people get more attractive because of things like that to you, right? Chemistry is amazing and it's great, but I'm all about energy, or I should say, looks are great. And obviously, I need to be somewhat attracted to you. But if your energy is like a 10, and you just do things, you like meet these bare minimums, hey, you're gonna get even more attractive versus the fucking 8 or 9 that's very cute and then has nothing to back up and show for it. Not interested, bro. But anyway, someone that is willing and okay with me being on social media the way that I am. They also are great in bed and are generous. And this is really cool. And what I would encourage you, that before you sleep with anyone, talk about sex. Talk about the things that you love. Talk about the things that you don't love. And yes, sex can be this spontaneous, magical thing. And it also can be a thing where both of you are receiving and giving pleasure on both sides that the other person actually wants. Some men like to have their play with, and some men are like, hey, that is off fucking limits for me. Get to know where that stands for someone. And I think it's really hot when you do that. I was hooking up with this guy and we talked about it. I just was like, hey, tell me what kind of things you're into. Also, while we're having these discussions, should we also be asking people to pull up their freaking test results? When's the last time you got tested? Do you know your status? Do you know you're clean, or you're going off of a test from 3 months ago and you've slept with 2 other people? Make sure that you're getting tested in between every single partner that you have. And I guarantee you that you have a local clinic or something like that that it does that, and also does that for free. Your reproductive health is your health, and it is very important. And also, if we are showing up and we're having these relations with people, you need to also be really taking someone else's sexual health into consideration as well. So, great in bed and generous. And I will tell you, if you get 2 people pleasers in bed, it is like the best fucking thing ever. And I know for me, it sometimes can be very hard to receive or have a lot of like attention on me. And that's something that I really have been working with. There's a guy that we hooked up for, he actually is like, or was my longest fling. And he just taught me how to receive. Like, not that he taught me, he helped me. Like, he guided me in that, where he was just good to go, just like wanted to go, just wanted to pleasure me. And I'm like, wow, it's really fucking cool. And also very different. And if you are with someone, either a man or a woman, and they're a selfish lover, you get to call them out on that, because that's not going to be fulfilling to you. Why do we stay in these relationships or in these situations when we're not getting what we want? Hello. So, great in bed, loves to snuggle, is playful, is handsome, is trustworthy, and loyal. And so, those are my bare minimums. And guess what? When you have your list of bare minimums, now you have to also look at yourself and say, how am I presenting to someone else? How am I showing up? And what am I actually capable of showing up for this person? So it's not about you overextending yourself or pretending to be something that you're not. It's about you being really conscious about what you are willing to give and what you are willing to receive from someone else, and holding yourself to your own standard. So, example, my standard maybe could be like when it comes to a man, is that I'm always going to be open and honest about where I stand with this person. If I'm really into someone, it is my job to let them know I'm into you. I like you. I don't play these fucking games because who has time for that? I don't have time for that. And if me liking someone is too much for them, that's on them, boo. That's on them. That's not on me. Because I'm showing up, I'm being vulnerable, I'm being open, and I'm being transparent with this other person. And that is something that I do. There was a guy that wanted to hang out today, and I don't do that. If we've never met, you don't get to text me and be like, hey, let's hang out. That's the standard. I want a man to take time to plan a date, to put himself on a calendar. And as a bad bitch, here's what you're doing if you are accepting those same day dates. You're showing a man that you aren't highly desired, or this man doesn't maybe expect that you're highly desired. So when I can say, hey, I have plans, I don't ever lie about having plans. But if I don't have plans and someone is hitting me up, and I can show you guys receipts and text today because it happened a few times. But if somebody wants to hang out with me and it's the same day and we've never met, I'm like, I don't have plans. And that's how I'm keeping my day, as not having plans. And I had this guy go, well, there's a first time for everything. And yeah, there is, but that is not my standard. That is not my boundary. My standard is that I have dates on calendars, period. Okay, so that is the bare minimum. I hope that this helps you. I hope that it encourages you to be in your bigness and your enoughness, to have clarity on what it is that you desire, and not to get into this rut of it feels like it's too much for someone else. That's not your concern. Your concern is showing up as you are and knowing exactly what the fuck you want. And if you're not getting it, we are on to the next. That is the conscious H.O.E. That is a woman that is in her power. She's not settling for this like half-ass bullshit. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. She doesn't settle, and she does not have to settle because she knows what she wants. And she is better off not being frustrated, not being annoyed, not rolling her eyes when these text messages come in with men that are not doing or living within her standards. Promise you that when you create your list of your bare minimums of what you expect from a guy, the standard that you're going to hold someone again in the exchange of your time, energy, and attention, and potentially your body, that's something that is a gift. That is a gift to anyone. It is a gift to anyone that I go out with on a Friday night and I might be taking time away from my friends or experiences to sit with you. That is a fucking gift, period. So let me know if you listen to this episode. I would love to know what your bare minimums are. What is it that you will tolerate, and what is it that you will absolutely not tolerate? But at the end of this, the message that I want you to have is set your standard. And you get to raise your standards all the time. And the more dates that you go on and the more that you detach from the outcome of those dates, the closer that you get to the person that's going to do the things that you want naturally, not with you having to tell them. And that's fucking cool. And it might take you a long time to find that. And you're also okay with that because you would rather be in situations hanging out with people that are at your level versus trying to pull these men up. That is not your fucking job. It is not your job to parent them. It is not your job to teach them how you want to be treated. No, they can come this way. And they can also come, not saying they need to be like perfect, but they can also come willing and ready and wanting, having a desire to be the best person that they can be, the same way that a conscious H.O.E. is. She's always evolving. She's always stepping into the next version of herself, but she is not stooping down on levels. She is not pulling people up. She knows where she is and she knows where she's going. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And she will learn how to say no. Oh my God, I fucking love saying no. When a man is like today, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. And that's the way that I'm gonna keep it. And I love it. It's so empowering to me personally. So that's what I got. I love you so much. This is going to go up and it's going to go out on Tuesday. So look at us being consistent. And if you are interested in Conscious H.O.E coaching, which is going to be working with me one on one in a private container, I'm only taking about 3 women because I still have a full time job. But I'm really excited to help people rise when it comes to dating and when it comes to taking that ownership in their lives. And I think if you've been here and you've been watching me long enough, you know that I've been on that journey myself. And oftentimes an experience is far outweighs a textbook, right? So the experience that I've had in showing up and dating and being out loud about it, I'm gonna start sharing dating stories on here on the podcast. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And y'all are just gonna get the juice that I've been hanging and saving on my close friends. But it's wild and it's lit. And I keep showing up and I keep having fun with it. And I continue to set my boundaries and to really work on my self worth. Because if a man is not meeting my bare minimums, why am I stooping any lower? Why am I devaluing myself? No, we don't have time for that. We don't have space for that. So that's what I have for this episode. I love you so much. If this speaks to you, if it resonates, if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whomever that needs this raw empowerment in their lives, that it is okay for them to be who they want to be and to desire what they want to desire and not settle for anything less, tell them come on over to the side of the internet at underscore Yolanda Russell and just come and be empowered. It's my mission to empower you to embrace living your life real, raw, and free as fuck. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week.